Okay. By the end of this webinar, we are confident that you will have gained valuable insights into the strategies and approaches necessary to unlock funding opportunities for your global development projects, and get ready to enhance your understanding and make the most of the available resources. And I would also would like to mention that I would like to highlight that International Chamber Training Academy has a specific program dedicated and focused on financing entrepreneurs. And this program will take place in September in Egypt with physical participation. It presents a great opportunity for individuals and interested in the field of finance and entrepreneurship. And you can follow ICTA on social media platforms and join the training programs they hold, inshallah. And today, I would like to further to continue our introduction. I would like to introduce our esteemed speakers today, Ms. Alia Jaffar. She is a Director of International Relations at the Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Development. And the second speaker is Mr. Artyom Savastin, Partnerships Manager of Development Aid Organization. So once again, we appreciate your presence today, our dear guests, and encourage active participation and on our engagement throughout the webinar. Now, our distinguished speakers, please take a moment to introduce yourself, please, and share some information about your organizations. Let's start with you, Ms. Alia Jaffar.
Thank you so much, Mr. Danyar. It's a pleasure to be part of this webinar. So I am looking after the International Relations Department within the Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Development. We are an affiliate body of the OIC, and we represent the private sector of the 57 member states. And we also have affiliate members from non-OIC Muslim chambers of commerce from the non-OIC countries. The role of the Islamic development, Islamic chambers is really to promote private sector development, particularly sustainable development, to support the socio-economic challenges of our countries. And we do this through multiple ways. One of the most important is through mega forums in specific categories, sectors. And the other area that we're working on very closely is capacity building for the leaders of the chambers of commerce as well as the leaders of businesses. And then connecting them with the global value chains also to increase our share in specifically, important areas such as halal sector and Islamic finance sector. So thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you, Ms. Alia. Thank you very much for introduction. Now, Mr. Artyom Savastin, we would like to hear about you and your organization.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Danyar. My name is Artyom. I'm a partnerships manager within Development Aid. The prime role of Development Aid is gathering all the information from those developing agencies or funding agencies out there. We gather the information regarding their grants and tenders and deliver it on one portal where we connect all the players on this market, meaning individual consultants, organizations who look for funding, and the donors who provide this funding, making it easier for them to fund each other, to collaborate, and to provide the most efficient way for companies to find new business opportunities to grow out there. As a partnership manager, my role is to partner up with chambers to bring even more benefits to small communities, to those communities who are in need for this international funding, for them to know more about those portals such as ours, those opportunities. And we hope this webinar will bring not only awareness for such thing as development market as a whole, but for the platform as well. And looking forward to share more information regarding Development Aid and our cooperation with Islamic Chamber of Commerce later today. So yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Artyom, Mr. Artyom, for sharing that information about your organization. So let's move to the next question. Ms. I addressed this question to Ms. Aliya Jafar. Please tell us about what are the main types of funding opportunities available from international organizations, and how do they differ in terms of eligibility criteria?
Thank you. So actually, the Islamic Chamber, we started gathering our knowledge about the international organizations that are available. And I think here, for especially those viewers that are from the private sector, this may not be, sort of very clear to them. So I'd like to start with the definition of what is meant by the international organizations term. So it's institutions drawing membership from at least 3 states, having activities in several states, and whose members are held together by a formal agreement. These can be intergovernmental, which means that government officials form the board. So, for example, the United Nations, that's an intergovernmental, international, sort of organization, sort of agency, and under it, it has multiple organs. And the other is INGOs, which is international non-governmental organizations. So ICCD is an example of such an institution where the private sector leaders from the 57 member states are sort of make up the General Assembly of our organization. So that is, in a nutshell. And if I may, I'd like to also share my screen just to give, just to showcase this, because these organizations are very complex. So ICCD is part of the OIC, Organization of Islamic Cooperation, international sort of organization. And, so if we look at the OIC system, we have standing committees, 5 standing committees. There are subsidiary organs, from research and statistical to Islamic history, art and culture, to technology, Islamic Center for Development of Trade. So, and then they have specialized institutions which includes development banks such as Islamic Development Bank, universities, affiliate institutions such as ours, and then of course their offices. So, and likewise, if we look at the UN system, this is the number of agencies that make up the United Nations system. So, this will require for our audience to actually, go and look into all of these agencies, get to know them. Now, coming to your question with reference to the funding types. So, so there are grants that are available, there are loans that are available, and typically from the international organizations, they are typically blended loans, which means that they are subsidized by these agencies so that, especially in the development sector, work can be done at a cheaper sort of price, or for the private sector, for example, certain areas or certain countries may be high risk. So they are used in a way to de-risk some of these sectors and to crowd in money in those sectors. So now with reference to grants, and I will talk about this because this is where, especially for our member states, there are most of them are, developed. In fact, all of them are developing, but some of the countries that we would like to focus on are all low income countries, and we would like especially for them to learn more about the grants that are available. So how you find out about these grants? And by grants, just to define that also, it's money which is given without it having to be given back to whoever is giving the grant. So there are different platforms, online platforms, and very sophisticated ones, such as Development Aid. And I'm so happy that they're here to share how people can use their platform. So one is calls for proposal. Calls for proposals generally are, shared, and they are very comprehensive. They have information with reference to the theme, the geographic focus, the eligibility criteria, the beneficiaries, the objectives. So they're very comprehensive documents. And to the viewers, I'd like to suggest that they should sign up to these platforms such as Development Aid to learn about which calls for proposals are active right now. They open for a short period of time, typically maybe a month to 3 months. So that will give them enough time to prepare for those documents. They can be quite cumbersome in terms of preparation. The other type of funding, which is, maybe for more established businesses or, organizations, foundations that are called co-creation. So co-creation typically happens between a development fund and a private sector organization or a not-for-profit maybe, and they are all sort of market-based. So, in this, like, I'll give you an example of USAID has a co-creation program by the name of Private Sector Collaboration Pathway. And in this program, they define effective collaborations are built at the intersection of business interest and USAID's development and humanitarian objectives. So they leverage each other's assets, experience, creativity, capital, investment, market knowledge, influence, business presence, experience and relationship to solve more complex problems. And also in the development sector, one of the areas of concern is that, organizations sort of they intervene, and then they come out after the duration of the grant or the project. And there's no sustainability in many cases. So when you bring in the private sector, what happens is that if you're developing let's say the supply chain, and if a food manufacturer is looking to secure potatoes, for example, and if they're in the business of manufacturing chips, so that even after the project has ended, the supply chain would have been developed and connected to the market so that it continues. So I think these are the two that would be most relevant for the private sector. Another type is, through ministerial resolutions. Over there, governments get access to funds through bilateral agreements, and those can be accessed through the local chambers of commerce, the national chambers of commerce, particularly through the Ministry of Commerce or the governmental bodies, or through institutions such as us that are part of the intergovernmental bodies. So I think I can sort of stop here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Alia. Another question addressed both to Ms. Alia and Mr. Artyom Savastin. I would like to hear from you your insights on whether there are any particular sectors that are currently receiving maybe increased attention or funding. So please, Ms. Alia. Yeah.
Sure. I'm sure Mr. Artyom will be able to give more fact evidence-based answer for that because, their website probably captures. But, broadly speaking, there is focus on poverty alleviation, education, health, particularly in Africa, climate change and environment, women and gender equality, governance and peace building. And for within the private sector, if we look at it, there's a lot of focus on entrepreneurship development, SME support, value chain development, and investment promotion.
Mr. Tom?
Yes.
Mr. Tom?
Just to add to, I believe, Alia's, because she captured it right, especially after the pandemic, all of the development agencies started to pay way more attention to SMEs and to boost the growth at home locally, because, well, most of those businesses damaged from pandemic were small and medium businesses, and now there is this boost for from development agencies to support them in terms of grants or a non-refundable. Yes, it's basically poverty reduction, social development, education, especially focusing on women and health and small and rural areas. So those would be the main sectors. Of course, there are other sectors such as green economy, transition to the green energy, but main ones for non-refundable would be still the basically poverty reduction. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ms. Alia, I'd like to ask a question to you about the main factors that played a pivotal
I think Mr. Danyal is probably reconnecting again.
Dear audience, we apologize for the technical side of things. I'm pretty sure Mr. Daniel has some problems with the internet, so we're gonna jump to more practical part. As mentioned before, I represent Development Aid, and we are the platform which gathers the information regarding the aid coming from different funding agencies, which Ms. Alia has mentioned before, including Islamic Development Bank. And we would like on the example of Islamic Development Bank and some other funding agencies to showcase how you can actually on in the field start working with those agencies using Development Aid platform or similar platforms out there. I'll be able to share my screen with you, and I believe you can see the platform right now. So this is the Development Aid, where again, it's a business intelligence platform, meaning you can start looking for ways to collaborate or work with funding agencies right here on the platform. And we can start going for the grants immediately to start looking for those non-refundable options and non-refundable funds on different projects. So currently on the platform, we have around 85,000 grants, but those are worldwide, and those are both open, closed, shortlisted, and so on and so forth. Which we need. We need to narrow down our search using the location. So for example, we can focus either on one specific country or the entire regions, or if we click on this particular button, we can select our custom groups. So for example, we can focus on the MENA region, Middle East, and North Africa. Later on, we can use the sectors button to narrow down it using the sectors. Currently, we have 85 sectors present on Development Aid. You can choose any of them at the moment. At the moment, we will not choose, so we will see what the system will give to us from all of them. Then what you can select is eligible applicant types. So are you a nonprofit organization, a government body, or a private sector? So for example, if I click on a private sector and unrestricted or unspecified, and last but not least, this is the list of funding agencies we currently keep track of. We keep track of around 185 of them, including Islamic Development Bank, for example, African Development Bank, all of the UN agencies, USAID, and so on and so forth. So what I would suggest is to focus on USAID because I understand it's very active in the region. Of course, Islamic Development Bank, and maybe African Development Bank as we select the MENA region as well. The next thing, the most important thing would be to select the status. So basically we can select the forecast, the grants, which will soon be opened. So you'll have time to prepare your paperwork to find relevant partners on the ground, or you can select the open one, which you can apply actually right now. If I click search, we'll end up with 12 results. As you can see, most of them are from USAID, and we have one from Africa Development Bank. What you can do on Development Aid from this particular menu, you can see the general description, so to say. You can see the title of a call, location, applicants, when it was posted by us, status, funding agencies, when it was modified, and the deadline for this particular grant. You can always jump inside a grant to know more information regarding the particular grant. And as Ms. Ali mentioned before, there are a lot of peculiarities when you work with such big agencies as USAID, and you should be very attentive when you read through the documents. As you can see on the right-hand side, you can see all of those documents, all of those forms, maybe budget forms, submission forms, all of those are right here. You can download them in one click and study them on your own. On the left-hand side, you can see more details as, again, application deadline, location, funding agencies, contracting authority who will be responsible for basically be a contact point between you and USAID, who will select those who will receive the funds. Award ceiling, award floor, as well as eligible applications. Below you can see the full description of a grant. There will be always a link to original source, so where you'll actually apply for a grant, as well as the contact details for this particular call. So in case you have any questions, you can contact those officers, those people, and they will be able to answer the questions more efficiently. Moreover,
Thank
what
you. Mhm.
oh, sorry.
Yes, Artem, sorry.
Oh, no worries. Moreover, what you can do from here, or how to study the funding agencies more efficiently, you can click on them to be redirected to our donors tab to the profile of USAID directly. And from here, once again, you can see the key requirements or all the documents on the right-hand side attached to study more regarding USAID or how to work with them. This is the best page on understanding them more. You can read the description, you can read the countries eligible to work with them. You can take a look at the way they manage their tenders and grants, meaning if they cooperate with any other funding agencies, if they do the subcontracting. Again, on the maybe first times when you work with them, it might be not the most relevant information, but whenever you dive deep working with them, it would help you a lot just understanding the way we think, the way they work, and as well as the key requirements for whenever you contact them for a grant or a tender. Moreover, whenever you found an opportunity, a business opportunity, either a grant or a tender, we would strongly suggest you start looking for partners to make either a joint ventures or a partnership for your particular business opportunities. There are two ways on Development how you can do this. One of which is through the organizations menu, which is a database of organizations out there with experience working with funding agencies. So, for example, we have more than 300,000 of them, but if we were going to use advanced filters, we'll narrow this search by legal residence. Again, we can use the MENA region, and let's say we would like to know who has experience working with USAID or Islamic Development Bank. If we click search, we will understand that we have, for example, this particular company from Egypt who has 35 projects behind them, and they're very experienced in the sectors. You can always click on their profiles. For example, this particular company from Jordan, again, you can click on their profiles, take a look at their description, their profiles, take a look at their experience, in which countries they worked before, with which funding agencies, in which sectors, and so to say their win ratio, how many times they're shortlisted versus being awarded. You can contact them using their contact tab right here, either the email or the phone. This is one way how you can do this. Another way is, and we encourage you to do this because the partnerships tab is completely for free for anyone out there. You can log in on Development Aid and leave your application, state that you're currently searching for active partner for any particular project. For example, we have this company, which is in search for partners to work on a Horizon project on a grant. You can read their description. You can apply for them, basically send them an email right away. Publishing a call is very easy. You can just go to the Publish a Call tab on the left-hand side, fill all the details required, and we will take your call. And we understand that maybe for some of you, you require additional visibility since development market might be a new way of doing business for you. So we will take your call and we will advertise it on all of our social medias to bring you some visibility to make it easier for you to find new and relevant partners in this particular sector. So this is one way how you can use our platform to again navigate the world of business opportunities from development banks, how you can find them, how you can study donors, how you can study organizations and find partners. Obviously, there are more ways whenever you dive deeper and be more let's say experience, you'll require more information such as individual consultants for your projects or jobs, or maybe you would like to go for tenders to deliver goods, works, and make joint ventures. But I think the base thing would be just as Misali mentioned, to start with non-refundable opportunities or grants, and this is a good way of starting doing business with those development banks. So thank you, and maybe Ms. Alia or Ms. Danier would like to mention anything. I would
yes, thank you very much. Sorry for some technical and interruption because people we're connecting from different parts of the world, so sometimes the technical problems happening. I just wanted to ask you, what are the actually we know the different trends. We see a lot of development aid platforms now in the world, and what are the trends now, priorities in the field of development aid? How the development aid platforms adapting to these trends and aligning their strategies, digital strategies maybe, to address these priorities, for example, and what are the key critical factors that contributed to the success of such platforms? So if anybody is
Yep.
ready, can answer the question.
Well, basically the most a lot of difficulties whenever the sector just started, let's say, booming way back, was for development agencies, development banks, and those companies on the ground to connect. Basically, in case you would like to know more about USAID or UN or Islamic Development Bank opportunities, you would need to open at least 3 tabs on your browser, and every single day to go there and regularly check them. And every single website has a different different way of posting this information. You need free registration. It's basically a headache for any company out there. So that's when we came up with a solution to basically create one-stop shop, to create a platform where development agencies can post their grants and tenders, where companies can post their profiles and look for those opportunities, and individual consultants can look for jobs. Basically, connect them in a way for them to collaborate the most efficient way. At the same time, we post the information. We have one business working day to post the information whenever a development agency posts it, making us the most efficient way to find the news regarding a new business opportunity out there. At the same time, we make partnerships with development agencies to make posting more optimized, so without any touch from a human being, basically to make it, again, the most efficient way for you to rely on our platform, rely on our information out there.
Thank you, Artem. Thank you. Alia, Miss Alia, maybe you have some also. You can give your insights on that. Maybe you can
Yes.
also give insight on what actually the metrics and indicators which commonly measures the success of the projects placed on that development aid platforms.
Thank you and welcome back.
Thank you very much.
I joined the organization, or rather the development sector, 4.5 years ago. So when I initially joined, it was very new. And one of the things that I realized was that there is a lot of data that's available at this point in time. And the whole sector is very, very complex and extremely bureaucratic as well. The development sector, right? So one of the first things that we started doing was to narrow it down for our countries. And there is a whole process, and this is something that is covered in the trainings that we conduct on international organizations for funding, is the process and the methodology of one, arriving at a crisp, clear understanding of the business that you're in, and then as a result come out with a very clear narrative which can be shared across with all the stakeholders. So, I believe this, in fact, I would like to recommend all the viewers to go and download our free publication on our website. Right now, it's iccia.com. The new website is going to be up soon. We've recently rebranded. We used to be the Islamic Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture. Now we're Islamic Chamber of Commerce and Development. So this report is particularly, simple. It doesn't have too much data, because each website, or even development aid, I think before you are ready for development aid, first you need to, have a basic understanding of what and who exists, and then have your organization's work very clearly mapped out, especially, so the important areas that I think help is, number one, your organization, or if you're an individual, your depth in the subject area. So for example, if it is gender equality, or if it is entrepreneurship, what is the experience that you have that will make that makes a lot of difference. Number two is, reach and access to the beneficiaries. So to give you an example of one of the organizations in Pakistan, it's called Polly and Other Stories. So, the background of this lady who's running this organization is from the development sector, where she was working and had access to 30,000 artisans across Pakistan. That is substantial. So for her to now start this retail, which is really to sell their handicrafts and their products through her website, in a manner which is modern, which is, utilizing all the digital benefits that we have today of e-commerce. So the reach and access to beneficiaries is very important for the international organizations when they're looking to give grants or to fund. Third is market reputation, and especially if you have history, then, what has that history looked like? Have you delivered any successful projects? If not, then how can you partner with others who do have a strong market reputation? Because anyone who's giving money would like to see some credibility, behind whoever they give money to. And lastly, the organizational capacity. And this is very important as well, because, you can write that you can do this, that, the other on paper, but you need to be able to substantiate that you have the organizational capacity, either yourself or in a consortium, to be able to deliver on whatever the project or the proposal may be. So I think that if you focus on this and the basic steps for coming up with a very clear understanding of your organization as well as your USP is, of course, understanding and defining your mission and vision, your core values, your long-term objectives, your medium-term, short-term objectives, stakeholder mapping. Stakeholder mapping is extremely important, particularly in your sector. That could be the government bodies, within the government bodies, individuals who are maybe passionate about what you're doing. So alignment, aligning yourself in a category with these international organizations and others in the whole sector. Communications is extremely important. How are you reaching out? How are you building your market reputation? Where are you visible? If someone does a Google search on your organization, what shows up? So communications is very important. Even internal communications is very important, because your organizations internally also has to be speaking the same language when you are sort of trying to build a seamless narrative. Lastly is engagement. How will you reach out to these people? Will you go through the government bodies? Will you go through your chambers of commerce? Will you go through an NGO? How are you reaching out to your potential people? By the way, a lot of these donors also, you can't connect with them. They actually reach out to you based on what they're seeing. So, your social media presence or, presence at all these events is particularly important. And lastly is reporting. So reporting is critical, because this is where you, as I say, you get to show off. You get to show off the good work that you've done, you measure it, and then you broadly sort of integrate that into your communication strategy, so that people, and everyone at large can see the good work that you're doing, and that opens up more opportunities for the organization for its future work. So I think that's from my side.
Thank you, Ms. Alia. Thank you very much. And I think, I guess, at the end of our webinar, I will also would like to highlight that once again that International Chamber Training Academy has a specific program also focused on financing entrepreneurs. This program soon will take place in September in Egypt with physical participation, and everybody's welcome to participate. It will present a great opportunity for individuals interested in the field of finance and entrepreneurship. So we appreciate everyone. If anybody has attendees have questions to the participants, to the speakers of today's discussion, so you are welcome to ask your questions to our speakers. Let's wait. You can write to the chat and to the answer questions section. So maybe anybody has a question? If and what is actually the main the question is actually prepared by me, and I was actually really can you differentiate maybe and give an example of one of the best maybe international organization which has done its platform as an example, maybe as the most successful example of how the development platform should be done? What is your opinion, Artyom? Maybe you can add also, answer the question, because I see a lot of development aid platforms, including the ICDs, IDB platforms. Of course, the IDB has done a lot of achievements in preparing the best user experience for organizations who are looking for funding. But what is your opinion? What should be done actually for those organizations, including ICD, maybe IDB, to develop the communication maybe between the different organizations in the world, development organizations?
Yeah, thank you for the question, but I guess I'm a bit biased. Well, for me, Development Aid is the best platform where you can find the opportunities. But I would say a lot of funding agencies are still very closed, and they're not openly cooperating, as even if, as Misalia said, they are the one who would choose you sometimes, who would go out to you directly, and that is fine. That's just direct funding. Sometimes we just appreciate your work and would like to replicate it as well, which is basically your reputation works for you in the long term. But in general, there are some of them who are not, as you said, they're not user-friendly. Their website is not user-friendly. You need a PhD to get used to them and to understand where you can find the most relevant information. And that's why such platform as Development Aid exist. Basically, we ease the work for a lot of people, save time, because from us, you can set up your funding alerts to receive notifications via the email regarding the potential grants or tenders available. So you will save time, you will save, basically save time adapting to every single new website from every single new donor. At the same time, you will find the information regarding how to work with them on the platform as well. So yes, I think there's still a lot of work should be done by funding agencies to make it more user-friendly. I think they're doing this. I think we're going in the right direction. They're restructuring their website, but I think it's still a long way to go.
And yeah, I also want to add that I've seen the ADB's website is, I think, in my opinion, one of the most successful, in terms of user experience, and you can easily apply for any funding from your organization. And we have a question, from the participants. The
Sorry,
question,
before we move to the next question, I'd just like to add just one small comment. I think it depends on the budget of the organization as well. So, so you have to see, especially development aid, or for example, I started off with funds for NGO because it was cheaper. So, but it was a good introductory platform for us to at least start understanding the development sector and the fundings that are available. So budget is a very deciding factor. And then as you become stronger financially, you can then move to more sophisticated and more detailed platforms such as development aid. Then there's DevX also, because all the donors will have their independent websites. So instead of you as a user to go to these independent websites, it can be a bit of a challenge. And as you said, because they're not user friendly, so finding that access and that particular document or information becomes easier through such platforms. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much for your opinion. And the question from the Nasir Shah, what type of partnerships are most beneficial for international organizations in supporting development projects? So what type of partnerships? Maybe the question is regarding the type of partnerships. Maybe it's a government, maybe private. So I think if it, yeah, what he
So I
can
think,
answer.
yeah, the type of partnership actually, again, goes down to the background or the status of your organization. So, for example, as a Chamber of Commerce, most of the times what we do is we have MOUs in place with organizations to start with softer engagement. And then, after you've built a little bit of relationship, you've done work with each other, you understand there's value to be added from both sides, then you go into specific agreements. And these agreements can be with the private sector, or they can be with other intergovernmental organizations or not for profit. So it really boils down to what is your requirement. And the way I see it, this is a very patient process. Things happen at a pace which may be slower than what the private sector is used to, and that's just the way it is, because there are a lot of transparency issues also. So I think there is no ideal partnership methodology. I think it is the stage in which you're at. So initially it'll be a different type because you'll be getting to know each other, and then it becomes stronger as time goes on.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, our esteemed guest speakers. I would like to mention one more time that follow us, International Chamber Training Academy on social media, please, for the news and for the interesting events. I would like to thank you all our guest speakers. Thank you very much. I hope to see you soon on the next sessions and webinars, inshallah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good day. Bye. Thank you.